Before we start this, let me give you a little story. One day, I was stumbling through some of my old videos and I found a video I did talking about a Magic Railroad Iceberg. I watched the video and proceeded to disintegrate due to how cringy it was. I don't even think I wrote a script for it, so I was basically just spouting random stuff for a total of 28 minutes, and what was the best way to go about this? Deleting it. Because we're gonna do it all over again, yippee. Am I going to completely redo an Iceberg video all because the old one sucks?
Of course I am!
Anyways, on to the video. So, we all know Thomas and the Magic Railroad. We all know what happened after Thomas and the Magic Railroad. And Tatmar, I'm just gonna call it that because it's easier, has played a big part in my life and introduced me to the world of Thomas. Surprisingly, this movie has a lot of mysteries and different things to talk about, from old voice actors being changed to entire characters being cut. The production behind this movie is very, very messy, so I thought it would be fun to take a look at an iceberg surrounding the movie. Now, if you don't know what an iceberg is, it's a chart of mysteries in media that progressively get more obscure the more you go down. I don't know the person who made this iceberg, so if you're watching this, hi. You made a cool chart. But anyways, let's get started with row 1. Director's Cut. Now this has to be the most well-known piece on this list. If you've heard of Magic Railroad, you've definitely heard of the Director's Cut. After many different scripts from the film, they finally decided on one to give to the test audience, and it sucks. Basically, everything from the director's cut was changed into the final cut, but most notable are the villains. P.T. Boomer, who was the main villain, was jealous of Burnett taking Tasha away from him, leading him to drive Lady and in the process crashing her. Meanwhile, on Sodor, Diesel 10 wanted to make the lives of the engines miserable by destroying all the buffers, but in the workprint he's after the lost engine. After the test audiences saw this version of the movie and hated it, the workprint turned into what we know as Magic Railroad today. Development hell and old VAs. I crammed both of these in here because they follow up on the production of the movie. From models breaking while shipping, to test audiences changing a ton of scenes and characters being removed, this movie has been through hell. On the topic of test audience, they changed every voice for the engines. John Bells was originally going to voice Thomas.
Little engines can do big things. Sodor Railway. Really reliable and right on time. I'm meeting Mr. Conductor. He's taking care of us while Sir Topham Hatt takes a very important holiday.
Narrator and actor Michael Angelis was going to voice James and Percy.
Wobbly wheels, puffy pistons. You shouldn't have collected, Mr. Conductor. I should have. I'm sorry I'm late, Thomas, but there was something wrong with the track switches, and I went the long way around.
And Keith Scott was going to voice Diesel 10.
Correction! Join the party that's over. Just like Twinkletoes' magic railway's going to be over. Destroy! It's the old teapot! Smash him!
Railroad. Despite Thomas being a very British show, the movie's title uses the American term railroad, life-sized lady prop. The production team built a life-sized lady prop that was used for the actors to step in and out of. This prop was used a bunch during filming, but the current state of the prop is, yeah, not good. George. George the Steamroller was a character that was introduced into the Railway series and carried on into the TV series, and he was actually going to serve an important role in Magic Railroad, being one of Diesel 10's henchmen alongside Splodge, but in the end, quit on them. It would have been great to see him in this movie, in my opinion, and would have given him a neat character arc. Nostalgia Critic.
By the way, sir, sparkle, sparkle, sparkle.
Fuck yeah! Sparkle, sparkle, sparkle!
The Locomotion. Jerry Goffin and Carole King wrote a song in the early 60s called The Locomotion and would spawn many different versions of the song until Atomic Kitten created their own version of the song for the movie, which was used in most of the adverts. Box office failure. When Magic Railroad was released in 2000, not many people enjoyed it and was pulled apart by critics. The box office shows that it only just made back its budget. Womp womp. Britt voices Lady. If you didn't know, Britt Allcroft, who created the show and was the director for Magic Railroad, voices Lady. Shining Time Station. In order for Thomas to get to the States, things needed to change. The 4-minute and 30-second runtime the show had wasn't fit for broadcasts in the US, so they made a show called Shining Time Station, which followed a small man called Mr. Conductor, telling the Thomas stories to kids. Some of these things were implemented into Magic Railroad. Retcons lore. Magic Railroad, instead of taking place in the realistic environment of Sodor we knew before this, goes in a completely different direction with magical trains and small men that can travel between worlds. So to the fandom, this movie seems like it's not canon. Percy and James are girls. This one is pretty straightforward. Both Percy and James are voiced by women, and I think they do a pretty good job. Fan content. Due to the popularity of Magic Railroad in the fanbase, it's inspired people to remake or create their own scenes for the movie, but the most iconic of these is definitely the chase scene remakes. Doesn't matter what era of the fandom you're in, there's bound to be chase remakes. Edward. Edward was surprisingly never in any original draft of the movie, and the answer to this is because he wouldn't have served much of a purpose in the movie. Would have been neat to see him though. And that wraps up row 1. Let's get into row 2, shall we? Instead of doing this row myself, I thought I'd let one of my friends who's also a big Magic Railroad fan fill in this row. Take it away, Magic Railroad Studios.
Director's Cut Leak / Controversy. In 2020, for the lead up to the film's 20th anniversary, the Director's Cut, or the workprint, was leaked online and caused some drama. Hell, even Brit herself wasn't happy about it, and even posted a message on Facebook to the fans who uploaded the workprint onto YouTube. Splodge and Day of the Diesels and The Great Race. In 2011, we saw the release of Day of the Diesels. Of course, if you've seen the movie by now, Diesel 10 is in it. But you're probably wondering, where's Splatter and Dodge? They were originally planned to be in the movie, but they got replaced by Paxton and Sydney. They were also going to bring back Dennis as well, but just like Splatter and Dodge, he got replaced by Norman. As for The Great Race, some people theorized that Splatter and Dodge were the background mainland diesels. Blu-ray. Also in 2020, the film finally got its Blu-ray release. This release includes some part of the director's cut, cast interviews, behind-the-scenes footage, and wow, would you look at that? A stolen trailer that was from Cardi's channel. Oh, wow! Special coal. In the film, it's implied that Henry, for some reason, still uses special coal and is apparently the same type of coal that has helped Lady come back to life. Millie. In 2013, one of the new characters that is featured in King of the Railway is a narrow gauge engine named Millie, who also uses Lady's whistle. Does this mean that Millie is a CGI version of Lady? Tumbleweed. There's a tumbleweed that talks. Am I on drugs? Did I take Mr. White's crystal?
Yes! Hell yeah! Hey, come on, baby! Come on! Yes! Come on!
Tugs. Tugs was a sister series to Thomas that focused on talking tugboats. However, the series only lasted for one season due to the company, Clearwater Features, going bankrupt in 1990. There were rumors that David Mitton wanted to have the Tugs characters make cameo appearances in the film. No drivers. Throughout the movie, at least during the Sodor scenes, there seems to be no drivers nor firemen controlling any of the engines. Flower phones. Mr. Conductor calls Junior on flower telephones. Yo, Mr. White, what did you give me? Adult Lily. In the director's cut, an older Lily was originally supposed to be the narrator for the story, telling it to her children. Sailor Moon. Two actors from the hit Japanese manga series Sailor Moon played James and Percy. Originally, Michael Angelis was the original voice for them. However, they were deemed by test audiences to be too old sounding, so they brought in two new actors. Linda Ballantyne, who plays Sailor Moon herself, played Percy, and Susan Roman, who plays Sailor Jupiter, plays James. The Big Dipper. The Big Dipper, aka the Viaduct, is the bridge that appears in the film. Throughout the film, the bridge is collapsing. First, it starts showing signs of collapsing during the Diesel 10 and Mr. Conductor scene, and later in the chase scene, it fully collapses. Unlucky Tugs Review. In 2023, Thomas user The Unlucky Tug released an hour-long analysis video on the film, Sodor being disrepaired. Some people had came up with the theory that some parts of Sodor are under repair, such as the scaffolding on the sheds, the giant hole in the sheds, and the viaduct, of course, collapsing. Magic Railroad website. During the lead up to the movie's release, a website was created by Brit's company in March of 2000, Splodge becoming good. When the chase is about to start, Diesel 10 orders Splatter and Dodge to come help and destroy both Thomas and Lady, but they both refuse. Splodge are Ari and Bert. Splatter and Dodge's models are actually repaints of Ari and Bert. If you look closely at this promotional picture of Splatter, you can see the hazard striping on his front. Brass models. I think this was the first time that they started using brass models for the characters. The missing Christmas decorations. Aside from Diesel 10 appearing in it, he says his old catchphrase, Twinkle Toes.
Yeah, Twinkle Toes! You look great up there!
Which is the nickname he gives to Mr. Conductor.
Hello, Twinkle Toes. Remember me?
Thomas and the Royal Engine. Thomas says one of his famous catchphrases, little engines can do big things, which is his quote he says throughout the film.
Little engines can do big things. Little engines can do big things. Little engines can do big things.
And that concludes my part of this video. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and Timothy's when you get the chance. I'm still waiting for that paycheck, little bro.
Shut the f*** up! Billy and Patch had bigger roles. So in the final cut of the film, Billy and Patch had pretty small roles that didn't serve much of a purpose except for Patch getting the special coal from the mountain, I guess. But in the workprint and early drafts, they played a bigger role. A scene that I wish stayed in the movie was a scene with Billy and Patch that sorta explains the hole that Thomas goes through later in the movie.
Mr. Two Feathers, why are there two lines in the middle of this meadow?
I've never noticed that before.
If we knew the answer to that question, Patch, we'd understand the mystery of this valley.
Rainbow Sun. So there was this engine in the Shining Time Station show titled the Rainbow Sun, which was owned by Billy and is a Union Pacific numbered 844. Diesel 10 in The Great Discovery. This one is pretty self-explanatory. He appears at the end when all the engines tell the news that Thomas was found, and he's happy for some reason. Diesel 10's 10 means something. Britt Allcroft states that the name just popped into her head, but many people think the reason he's called Diesel 10 is because he's the 10th Diesel introduced into the series. Timothy Face. The elderly Thomas face, or more so known as the Timothy Face, was made during production of Magic Railroad and was made to scare one of the cameramen. This face would eventually end up onto a fan-made character called Timothy, who is basically Evil Thomas. Oh, he's so scary. Tasha. The reason why Burnett is depressed in Magic Railroad is because he lost his wife Tasha. We never get to see Tasha in the movie, but we do get to see a flashback with Tasha and a younger Burnett in the workprint. Lady hiding in the chase scene. So in an original draft for the film, when Thomas and Lady were closing in on the viaduct, Lady was sent into a siding and Thomas had to cross the viaduct, which led to Diesel 10 falling. Character concept art. Concept art for the newbies in the movie looked very different when compared to their final designs. Well, except for Lady. She stayed relatively the same. But Splatter, Dodge, and especially Diesel 10s look very different. Splatter was originally going to have hazard stripes on his sides and kind of looked like William Dafoe if you squint your eyes a certain way. Dodge was going to originally have handrails, and Diesel 10s had his name slapped on his sides, and his claw, instead of sitting atop his roof, was going to be stored inside of him, and when it was necessary, it would protrude out from his cab. This design was scrapped due to mechanical concerns. Thomas and the Magic Railroad being retconned. After Magic Railroad came and went, and the 6th series came out a year later, there wasn't any talk about Magic Railroad and was just back to basics. There was no lost engine, no Diesel with a claw, and no Alec Baldwin in a conductor suit. Alright, that's all I have to say about the 3rd row. On to the 4th. Broken James. When filming the Smelter's Yard scene, Steve Asquith, who was controlling James, went a little too fast and caused James to fall off the set. It was apparently a 3-foot drop and caused James to crack. The wiki states that you can see some scratches on James in other scenes, but I can't really debunk that claim. Sky Railroad. So instead of the Magic Railroad looking like this, it was originally going to take place in the sky. Pretty neat. Middle finger. So what I think this is referring to is during the scene where Diesel 10 interrogates Mr. C over the viaduct, Mr. C finds some pliers in his pocket but loses his grip on them. He tries to reach out to grab them and boom, middle finger. Diesel 10's broken buffer. Diesel 10's calling all engines ruler photos show that he has a missing buffer. This was probably due to them actually dropping his model off the viaduct in Magic Railroad. According to an interview with Soda Island fan site, he held up pretty well, but the mechanics in Pinchy were probably toast, which could also explain why his claw is holding on for dear life and calling all engines. Rainbow Railway. The original title for Magic Railroad was Thomas and the Rainbow Railway before eventually being changed to Thomas and the Magic Railroad. Splodge. Splatter and Dodge's original nickname for Diesel 10 was originally going to be Splodge before eventually being called Splodge. Prototype Lady faces. So originally, Lady had different face masks made for the film. These were either concepts or fill-ins for the building process. And they look, not good. Okay, that one actually looks okay. Party Popper Incident. When Junior and Lily arrive on Sodor, Thomas stops next to them and says this.
No, don't look so surprised. I know you haven't seen me since...
You stuffed party poppers down my funnel.
Hey, we had a laugh.
You did.
Thomas and the Special Letter. So season 4's episode, Thomas and the Special Letter, was apparently the inspiration for wanting to make a Thomas film. Magic Railroad takes place during season 2. This is just a fan theory, so take it with a grain of salt. So the theory states that Magic Railroad takes place during season 2 because the viaduct is getting repaired and better late than never, and could explain why Edward isn't in the movie due to the events from Edward's exploit. Lady telepathically speaking. In an early draft for the movie, Lady was originally going to be a mute and Thomas would communicate with her telepathically. Lori 2. This one is pretty self-explanatory. You can spot one of the Lori props in the background for set dressing throughout the movie. Pencil. During Diesel 10's introduction, you can spot a pencil in the background, which, probably isn't meant to be there. GW3031 Lady. Character designer David Eves intended Lady to be a GW3031 tender engine instead of being a tank engine. This idea was eventually scrapped, and Lady turned into a freelance tank engine design. Alright, we're done with the 4th row, on to the last. Diesel 10's back. When Diesel 10 is introduced, Gordon says this line.
Diesel 10's back! Oh.
Many people are confused as to what this line is because in the workprint he says,
What was that?
Many people believe that Diesel 10 came to the railway prior to Magic Railroad, which in the context of the final film makes sense because Diesel 10 is the one to crash Lady, not Boomer. The World is New. The World is New was a song created by Save Ferris in 1997 and was used in both the US and UK trailers for the movie. Dream Theory. Many people believe that Magic Railroad could just be a dream Thomas made up while sleeping. Yeah, it's that cliche thing everyone says about any form of fiction. Oh, what if it's a dream? Which yeah, it could be a dream, I guess, seeing as how he dreams of Lady and calling all engines, so maybe it was a dream after all. E2 Rainbow Sun. What is that? D10 and Boomer dying. In an original draft for the movie, after Diesel 10 and Boomer fall off the viaduct and land into the barge, Junior was going to use a magical bandana to turn both villains into sludge, killing them. I wonder why this was cut. Magic Railroad killed Thomas and friends. After Magic Railroad bombed at the box office, Britt was forced to step down from her own company, which went from the Britt Allcroft Company to Ghislaine Entertainment. During post-production for season 6, Hit Entertainment bought out Ghislaine and produced Thomas content up until 2012, and Mattel bought out Hit and has been the owner of Thomas since. And if you watch the seasons after Magic Railroad, there is definitely a step down in quality compared to the first 5 seasons of the show, and when Mattel bought Thomas, they made great stories. Thomas was back on track, until 2018 happened and all hope was lost. Yeah! D10 brain damage. I have 2 different ideas to what this is referring to. Idea 1. Diesel 10 has brain damage because he thinks his claw is alive. I mean, it could be. Remember, this is the movie where a tumbleweed speaks and rabbits can write down on pieces of tree bark. Idea 2. Diesel 10 suffered brain damage after he fell into the barge, which could explain why he's a more friendly character in the later model specials. He loves, she loves. A song was released in 1957 titled He Loves and She Loves and was sung by Fred Assatire. This song would have been used in the original cut of Magic Railroad when Burnett looks at a picture of Tasha. The scene would then fade into another scene with this song playing as a younger Burnett and Tasha dance together. It's a really sweet and sad scene, but it's just not Thomas. Old McDiesel. After Thomas collects Mr. Conductor, we're then shown Diesel 10 just rolling through Knapford singing a nursery rhyme to himself. Alright. Instead of Old MacDonald had a farm, he goes,
Old McDiesel had a plan.
He does this again later on in the film with a different nursery rhyme.
I've been working on the railway all the livelong day. Yeah, who wants to work a livelong day?
Pretty weird if you ask me. Birdie and Harold spin-off. The vehicle characters, Birdie the bus and Harold the helicopter, were suggested to have their own spin-off series in late March of 2001. The Telegraph interviewed former Ghislaine chairman William Harris about these pitches. We want to expand some of Thomas's friends, particularly some of the off-track characters. Children would like to know what happens to Birdie when he goes back to his bus shed. This would have been awesome to see. Maybe this idea eventually turned into Jack in the Pack. Boomer could try again. In the original film, when Boomer and Diesel 10 fall into the barge, it's shown that he he isn't dead, and he knows where the opening to the Magic Railroad is now, so what's stopping him from going back to Muffle Mountain? And that wraps up this video. I think overall this is definitely better than the original version of this video from about a year ago, and I'm glad this iceberg exists. Despite this film having goofy-ass acting, many different plot holes, and missing the core appeal for Thomas, it holds a special place in my heart. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Also, happy 24th anniversary Magic Railroad! Oh yeah!
I'll save a seat for you.